Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Crystal Flaffy, and today we're going to be talking about Bellpup, going back into the Nat2s, Nat2 healers, that is. Well, did we do Nat2 mons that weren't healers? I think we did. No, we didn't. We just did healers, okay. So yeah, a couple more Nat2, well, one more Nat2 healer for this video, talking about Bellpup. Reason for it is because, well, nothing pushed me to do it right now, but just the fact that there are some Nat2s that are useful, and people might not know that. A lot of people might just look at the natural star count and be like, oh, this is a bad mon. But some Nat2s are good, and mostly Nat2 healers are okay. Where are they? Here we are. So here's Fire Bellpup. So, as I said, Fire Bellpup is a healer. We'll be talking about Fire, Water, Wood for it. There is no Light Dark. It'd be nice if they introduced it later on at some point, but I'll talk more about that later. And I do want to point out that I will be making a separate video for Lumo. I was going to do them 2 in 1, like I did with Cotine and Mildew, but because Bellpup and Lumo aren't like the same mon in the same way that Cotine and Mildew are, like they don't have the same skills, I decided to separate them. But anyway, here we are with Fire. Here's the Evo 1, and it is super cute. It's super cute. Same with Evo 2. Again, still super cute. And Evo 3 is pretty cool. It's pretty, kind of reminds me of Delcatty in Pokemon. Here's the variant. Goes super, like, pinkish, purple, magenta color. I kind of like the regular one more. Yeah. Alright, so let's look at the stats. So it's a recovery type. It is a Nat2, so of course its overall stats are going to be lower than other mons we've spoken about. But for a Nat2, its recovery is pretty good. Its HP is decent as well. Its defense is low. It'd be nice if it was a little bit higher. Could definitely use a bit more of that. And now onto the skills before we talk about how to build or whatever. Looking at the leader skill, it is recovery up 20 to 25%, which is pretty good. Since it is a healer, you would be wanting to use it for Titans, so having recovery up leader skill there, if you're only using one healer or your healers have low recovery stats, it is decent. You would definitely want a more offensive leader skill like attack up or crit damage up, something like that. But it is useful if you don't have a good lead in general. And of course, it's the same for all elements. Then for the 3-star, we have Soul Boon Red. Skill books can't change that at all, but it gets a 35% damage boost from that. And then his 5-star is Zeal for 3 turns, and skill books give a 35% recovery boost there. Now, at first glance, this does look to be pretty lackluster, but that's because not a lot of people know how Soul Boon works. For pretty much any content, it is not the best ability or skill to use, but for Titans, it's actually pretty useful. It is RNG dependent, but it does have a good use there. So, the way it works with Titans is whenever the Titan generates an orb, a blue orb, which it does, it generates 2 orbs for every group that attacks it, right? And these orbs will heal 100% of your SP for whoever gets the orb. Red Soul Boon would make it so that it would, for every one of those blue orbs it drops, so 2, it'll also drop a red orb, so 2 red orbs. And these red orbs also will heal 100% of your HP. So even on turns where Red Bellpup or Fire Bellpup isn't using its 5-star to heal, it can still heal up to 2 mons for 100% of their HP, depending on the RNG of who gets the red orbs. So it is useful, just super RNG dependent. And then Zeal, well, Zeal isn't that great for Titans, unfortunately. I think it restores like 20% of SP. I think. I'm not certain on the number though. But either way, it would take 5 turns of Zeal to get your bar full, if it's even 20%, so it's not that helpful. Where I would use it, Titans is the only place I could see Fire Bellpup being used. It doesn't really have much use elsewhere, and how I would build it, either HP Defense Recovery, which is the standard healer build, or HP Defense, but if you do that, you gotta have some recovery subs there to kind of balance that out. I wouldn't really focus too much on resist because fire healers don't really need it, considering the Wood Titan's debuffs aren't that strong. It doesn't have any debuffs for its swiping attack or its lightning attack thing that happens on the second wave. So you don't have to worry about that. The taunt can be annoying for the first 2 turns, but again, it only lasts 2 turns, and then after that you're good. Which, in Fire Bellpup's case, her 3-star is pretty good, so her being taunted isn't that big of an issue. But anyway, now let's move on to water. I did used to use Fire Bellpup for a while, actually. Forgot to mention that. I don't use it so much anymore, but I did use it for a time, and it was helpful there. Oh, also I should point out that it has a very fast animation speed for its 3-star attack. So, if you're using Fire Xiaowujin in your team, there's a chance that it'll attack before Xiaowujin and it won't take the exposed weakness. So, that's another thing to keep in mind if you're building it. It can pair well with Xiaowujin, which most fire healers don't. Most fire healers have a bit slow of an animation, so they would steal the expose. But anyway, here we have water. Here's the variant, which the color change isn't that great, that large for them. Well, actually, I just noticed the pink and whatever. I kind of like the regular one more too for this. Yeah. Looking at the stats, this one is actually a balanced type, which doesn't really have balanced stats if we're looking at it. So, has really good HP for a Nat 2. Its attack is decent, but you're not really expecting much damage out of it because it is a healer. But, having higher attack is certainly nice. But its defense, well, its defense is okay. It would have been nice if it was at least 2k. It is much higher than Fire's, as we just saw, but its recovery is a lot lower. So you do need a bit more recovery investment here, but it's fine because when we get into the skills, you'll see that it kind of makes up for it, which we will do now. So on 3-star, we have attack down 50% 2 turns. Skill books bring it up to 65% and give a 10% damage boost. And then recovery up on 5-star for 3 turns, and skill books give a 35% recovery increase there. So recovery up, well, normally useless. You don't really have there's never really a place where recovery up is like desirable, but because Water Bellpup does have low recovery, it can benefit from it. The recovery up, I don't know what the multiplier would be. I think it'd be like a 50% multiplier or something like that. So it'll just help with the healing, pretty much. I do use Water Bellpup still. I use 2 of them, I think. One in the top left row, or top left group for my Water Titan team, and then one in the bottom left row. And again, to speak about its animation speed, I have mine for both of the ones that I have them in the same group as a Water Siegfried, and because of their quick animation, they don't steal the exposed weakness that Water Siegfried lands on the Titan, so that my right side Water Bellrona can hit it, or Water Indra, depending on how the orbs are generated or whatever on that side. And how I would build it, HP Defense Recovery. You definitely need a recovery gem there. Normally I would recommend HP Defense, or suggest it at least, but it really needs the recovery. It's definitely, you kind of want to have at least like 3k recovery for your healers, like 3k minimum, so you definitely need a gem to get that much higher, unless you use trinkets, but Water Bellpup isn't really a mon that you would prioritize for trinkets, since you normally would prioritize your attackers for trinkets over your defenders. Well, over your healers and your debuffers. But anyway, last and probably least, we will move on to Wood. So, she is all the way towards the bottom. There we are. So here we have Wood Bellpup, or Ribboness. Here's the variant. And I kind of like the variant. Yeah, I'm going to go with the variant for this one. Looking at her stats, she's a recovery type. Her HP is actually really high. That's like Nat 2 tank levels of HP. And her recovery is pretty good as well. Her defense is actually really low though. Looking at the skills, she has stun on her 3-star, 60% one turn. Skill books bring it up to 80% and give a 10% damage boost. And then on 5-star, she has vigor for 3 turns. And skill books bring that up to, skill books give a 30% recovery boost. They don't boost the effectiveness of the vigor at all. So, Wood Bellpup is it's interesting. So, vigor is like pretty much, I want to say like it's a PvP mon. It's not really a good healer for Titans because its 3-star is useless there, and vigor isn't that great. It's okay, but it's not that great there. But vigor can be really good in PvP, considering you'd want to have high HP mons, and the vigor is based on the mon's HP. So if you have it with like a dark Miho, who would have like over 100k HP, it'd be based off her HP, so she'll heal like whatever percent of that 100k. So that's pretty good there. And the stun being 80% is good. It's just that she is a Woodmon for 1. So Woodmons on PvP defense aren't that great, just because Fire Draka. And then also, her defense is very low. So, and then of course, having healers for your PvP teams isn't usually effective. There are some healers that work well in PvP, like Dark Cupid, Light Hannah, Dark Siren, and Light Siren too as well. But there's, and Fire Bast, of course, and Light and Dark Bast too. But it's very, very few healers are effective in PvP. So, yeah, I would probably I would build her up for the guide, get that extra, whatever amount of gems you get from it, as I did here. But then I don't ever see me using it. Like, you can use it on PvP defense just because of that stun, and the vigor is nice to keep your team alive a little bit, but it'll definitely fall off very quickly. Like, even it'll fall off in early game in terms of viability for PvP defense. In terms of priority for the Bellpups, I would definitely just prioritize water. Water is the most useful, even mid-late game. As I said, I use 2 of them. Here's the one that I have, or the first one that I have. This one is a variant. I'm not using its leader skill. I do have better leaders for Titans. So this one I think I have paired with my Water Siegfried, which has its defense up leader skill. And then the other one I think I have paired with Cherry, who has the attack up leader skill, which is good for the attackers in that line. So anyway, looking at this one here, definitely needs a bit more resist. Just saw the resist isn't that high. But anyway, HP, recovery, and defense. Could definitely afford more resist, but she is fully booked, so that's nice. And over here, we have the other one. So this one is gemmed a lot better. As you can see, the resist is a lot higher, and some of the gems are actually plus 15. So here we go, defense, HP, and recovery there. And I noticed I didn't show off the overall stats, but see here, we got 46k HP, over 3k, or 3300 defense, and we got just over 3k recovery there, which is nice. And over to the other one again, just to look at that again. We have more HP here, more defense, and more recovery. So overall, I think this one has better subs in terms of stats, so better HP and defense and recovery subs on the gems, but the other one has better resist. So I believe I have the other one in the front line, whereas this one's in the back line, to where resist isn't as needed, since it just has to deal with thirst one time and then it's good after that. Just checking to see if I do still have that fire one. Yep, here we go. I don't think I have gems on her though. No, I do not, but I did use her for a time. I did have her on HP defense recovery, so if you use her, you can definitely go with that one. Or that build, I mean. And yeah, hopefully they do introduce light and dark Bellpup eventually. If they do, it'd be nice to get some, like one of them with maybe attack up or defense up, like something with a really strong buff on the 5-star, since all of the Bellpups don't really have a strong 5-star buff. Wood has a strong 3-star one, but that's about it. And yeah, that's gonna be all for this one. I did already say how to prioritize them. Well, actually no, I said prioritize water, but I didn't say the rest. So water, fire, then wood. Wood, most likely just for the guide. You probably won't end up using it, but of course, fill it up or evo it up for the guide. Just get those free gems. Anyway, gonna call it a video there. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Have yourselves a good day, and I'll see you guys all in the next one, where we'll be talking about Lumo.